In this episode, we're going to look at a Mitsubishi HSU82. Now, this one was also sold under the Electrohome brand called an AVR J05 and a K05, same machine. This one has a bad picture on SVHS playback. Let's take a look and see what's wrong. Hey guys, here's another informative video. Hopefully we're going to be able to do something with this machine today. This is a machine made by Mitsubishi. Under Mitsubishi, the model number was an HSU82. Okay. The video is dark. It's playing, it's tracking. There's dropouts on this tape, but you see how distorted the picture is? So we have a video problem on this machine. Now what I don't know at this point is this video problem only affecting Super VHS tapes, or is it affecting standard VHS too? And it kind of looks like the problem is only affecting Super VHS playback, because standard VHS seems to be playing okay, which is interesting. I think that probably our problem is going to be a capacitor that's gone bad somewhere, or something in the luminance demodulation for our Super VHS. But essentially the only difference between standard VHS and Super VHS is it's a higher bandwidth. It's a higher band. So somewhere along the line we're having a problem with our signal processing. A quick look under the top of the machine shows a machine that's fairly well laid out. Let's say this was one of the better built machines that Mitsubishi made. So looking down from the top, we have our solid aluminum die-cast chassis. All nice metal parts in here, very well built. And that was something that Mitsubishi, on these machines, this was one of their bragging rights, was they were bragging solid aluminum chassis. We have our massive, look at how complex this drum is. They've even got a plastic cover on it to keep your fingers out of it, because there's actually electrical contacts. Maybe hard to see from that angle, but there's electrical contacts on top of the drum supplied by this connector. That connection, it's an armature, brushes, and a stator, I should say. That connection is for the movable heads. The correction voltage is passed through this cable to move the actual heads up and down as they are spinning. So there's a couple heads here that are mounted on the piezo actuators, and I really wouldn't want to change one of these drums, because I'm sure changing one of these drums is a little more complex than changing, say, a 2-head or a 4-head, or even a hi-fi machine. Don't even know which board these are. This is probably the microcontroller. It looks like a battery here, so this will be a clock battery. And this is one of our signal processing board, but I believe the ones I'm looking for are going to be ones underneath here. The luminance and chroma boards are underneath here, so we're going to have to do a little bit more digging to get into this one. But I just wanted to give you a quick peek of what the inside of this thing looks like. If I thread up a tape, just so you can see how the mechanism works in this, the mechanism works exactly the same, basically, as other VHS machines do. And let's just see, first of all, let's see if the trick playback even works on this thing, because I didn't check that. So let's just put it into play, and we'll engage trick playback here. So there's playback. If I push pause, okay, I have a pause picture. If I go into jog shuttle, okay, there we go. So our trick playback isn't working either. We have a problem here. It could be just the connection between the movable heads, or something in the circuitry. As we can clearly see, this machine is very board heavy. Our video processing is done on this board here. I know that because there's our video inputs and outputs on the back here. So this is our sub board for our luminance. Probably this is S sub, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is where our S video is processed on here. And we have a chroma board down here that processes our chroma. Our hi-fi audio is processed on this board. Again, it's pretty obvious because your input outputs are on here, and I believe there's another video input or output on the back here This board is probably the AV board. I haven't really taken a close look at it yet. I just kind of tore the machine apart. On the bottom side here, there's our mechanical chassis. We've got 2 more boards. And one of these boards is going to be our trick playback board for our dynamic tracking. Got to figure out which one that is. But there's a bunch of adjustments on all these boards. One of the nice things about this machine is it was designed for setting up. You've got all these test points here, and you've got all your adjustments which you can make on this set without actually having to remove the boards. There are a lot of them are on the edge, which is nice.
Let's get a look at the contacts. This is the armature and contact assembly for the movable heads. Notice the heavy oxidation. This is probably why the trick playback is not working. So I'm sure cleaning these is going to make a big difference. It's not going to affect the problem with the SVHS playback. That is a problem in the comb filter. I'll tell you that now. That's a comb filter problem. But this is one of the problems that needs to be addressed on this unit. If I expect that this thing's going to have any type of variable speed playback like it used to.
So we've got the scope connected up to the test point on the sub luminance board, or the S sub board. This is a video signal coming off of the tuner, just off my cable system here. And you can see our sync level looks good, but as soon as I play a tape back, watch the sync level. As soon as I go into play, you see this? The sync level is really crushed. And that's going to affect our stability of our picture. If we look up at the TV, you'll see that the picture is quite severely and all this noise. So as I'm looking at the board here, I see this bit of black tape, and what's underneath here, and I pull this tape out of here, and holy smoke, there's a little circuit board here. And what do we have mounted on this little board? We have one of these little freaking surface mounted electrolytic capacitors. These things cause huge problems, and I bet you that thing's got something to do with my problem.
This board is the comb filter, which is a board that was made by JVC. They made all the SVHS comb filters that were used by all the manufacturers of the day. And this is the problem.
Just going to get a shot of the scope. Hopefully my head's not going to be in the shot here when I do this. I'm just going to get my scope on there, and I'm going to probe this capacitor, both sides of it. You can see it's definitely video. Let's just fast forward till we get a bit brighter scene. Okay. Definitely it's video. There's one side of the cap, and there's the other side. Oh, look at that sync. Holy shit. Look at how distorted our sync is. It's all compressed. We're going to change this cap out that's on this little board here. It's a little video board. It's got a surface mounted capacitor. And unlike the Panasonic that I just wrote off, this is mounted on a conventional board, so I shouldn't have a problem clipping that capacitor off and replacing it with a new one, because it's not going to be... The other ones were copper lines that were basically painted onto a piece of ceramic or glass, porcelain substrate. This is the conventional board, so this one shouldn't be an issue changing. Okay, now the way to access that main board is you got to release these 2 little tabs here on either side of the sub board. And then the sub board will pop down. There's one side out. There's the other side. The IC that we got to pull is IC2B4. It's a 9-pin IC. The part we're concerned with right there. That surface mounted electrolytic cap.
As you notice, the IC is made by JVC. JVC made all these ICs for all the manufacturers. They all use the same circuit. But some companies like Panasonic put them on a board that was impossible to repair.
And now we'll go find another capacitor to replace it with. This is a 4.7 at 35 volt. We'll just tack down the new part. I already clipped my lead short on this thing so that it can just go right onto the board like that. And then the other side can go down like that. I'm not happy with that because that foil looks like it's kind of lifting, so I'm just going to take this off again and see where else I can connect this thing up to and trace where those foil traces go, just because I can see that foil is coming up on one side because it's been damaged. It's damaged by the other capacitor leaking crap on the board. So as it turns out, the traces are across pins 7 and 8 of the IC. I think it's 7 and 8. Anyway, yeah, pin 7 and 8. You can see them there. So I just soldered the capacitor directly to the IC itself, right directly to the legs. So you can see the copper trace coming off of pin 8, and it goes up to where the land was. But there's gunk on the board that's leaked out of that capacitor, which has actually attacked the trace. At least in this case, on this particular one, I'm able to repair it. On the Panasonic one, that had the bad module in it that I was working on, the AG1970, it attacked the board as well, but because it's a printed board, not a circuit board, but an actual painted board, there was no way to repair that.
Okay, just going to solder that module back in onto the main luminance board, and then we'll give this one a test and see if we've made any improvement. And I'll tell you right now, we have.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. There you go. No more smear in the picture. Black levels are proper. None of this waving picture anymore. That's fixed the problem. There's our video board, one of our sub boards for SVHS, and there's the new capacitor that I just put in.
That does it for this one. A quick recap on how to recap this board. So if you have one of these Mitsubishi SVHS machine and the picture looks bad on playback of S video or Super VHS, it's going to be a cap that's on that subboard. Simple as that. We'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you see all my new stuff. Bye for now.